Now at 6 and streaming on CrossroadsToday.com, the Biden administration waives 26 federal laws to continue building the border wall.
The Houston ISD facing major backlash for an inappropriate reading assignment put online.
And in Victoria, we have the latest updates on the Salvation Army's Life Enrichment Center.
Well, the cold front finally made it through early this morning, blew through here, but going about 40 miles an hour. The rain was good, 1, 2 to 3 inches of rain all over the crossroads, and now you can see the clearing line right about here. So we've got a really good weekend coming up. Any more rain? We'll talk about that coming up in a moment.
And the Athlete of the Week was featured on the Crossroads Football Live show for the second straight week. We can hear from him in sports. And also a Chicago legend and football player died today. See who in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker.
And I'm Karina Garcia.
The cold front came in before sunrise around 6:30 in the morning. It brought heavy rains to several places in the crossroads. Victoria was put under a severe thunderstorm warning at 8:25 a.m.
The storm also caused tree damage and several power outages in Victoria. This tree limb down on Lawrence Street at Loma Vista Avenue this morning. AEP Texas Power's outage map showed at least 500 customers without service within city limits as of 10:15 this morning. As of 5 o'clock this afternoon, 41 Victoria County AEP Texas customers were still without power, along with 180 in Jackson County. So, Mac, I know from what we can see, the rain has come down a little bit.
Oh, yes, quite a bit. In fact, the heaviest stuff is pretty much gone. In fact, as it blew through here, 40 to 60 mile an hour winds were reported with the big front coming through. Now we have a gentle north wind blowing, and you can see how all the rain is beginning to pull away, even from Victoria County. The stormy weather is way down south in the valley, and this map will show you in the green is about an inch. In the blues, over an inch, probably 2, and up here in the light blue, up to maybe 3 inches in some spots. We'll take a good look at it and take a look at your weekend coming up in just a moment. Back to you.
Mac, thank you. An 18-wheeler and trailer overturned due to high winds Thursday morning on U.S. Highway 59, just north of travel centers near Ganado. Southbound lanes were closed off while crews dealt with the overturned 18-wheeler.
More details revealed about the driver accused of causing the crash that killed a U.S. Postal Service worker over the weekend. The driver, 43-year-old Jesus Natividad Gutierrez, lied about his vehicle being stolen when authorities went to his home to question him after the crash. Gutierrez charged with failure to stop and render aid involving death, that's a second-degree felony, and filing a false police report in Harris County Criminal Court. As the crisis at the U.S.-Mexico border overwhelms shelters and cities, the Biden administration now waiving 26 federal laws to allow additional border wall construction in South Texas.
The White House says it has to build 20 miles of wall at the southern border by law due to funds allocated when Donald Trump was still president.
Hundreds of migrants caught on camera rushing past Mexican authorities with their goal in their sights, American soil in El Paso, Texas.
As long as the United States continues to open the doors of its border and exceptionally allow passage to some groups, families, minors, vulnerable people, it is a call for more migrants to come.
Days after Texas Governor Greg Abbott ramped up his migrant busing operation, New York City officials say they are recording significant increases in the number of migrants arriving. The mayor is on a 4-day trip to Latin America where he's expected to try to dissuade migrants from coming.
We want to make sure that we have a great level of transparency of the challenges that we are facing so that people can manage their expectations.
With busloads of migrants arriving in Chicago, the mayor says he'll be making a trip to the border to witness the crisis firsthand.
The failure of federal policies is now impacting the people of Chicago in a very dramatic way.
Citing, quote, high illegal entry, the Biden administration will waive 26 laws to build additional border barriers in the Rio Grande Valley.
The border wall, the money was appropriated for the border wall. I tried to get them to reappropriate, to redirect that money. They didn't, they wouldn't. And in the meantime, there's nothing under the law other than they have to use the money for what it was appropriated. I can't stop that.
Do you believe the border wall works?
No.
I'm Mike Valerio reporting.
Mexico's president calling constructing a new border wall a regression that won't resolve the immigration problem. He said that President Biden will always have his support and noted that he is the only U.S. president who, up to now, has not built a section of the border wall.
Here's your Vera poll. You can scan that QR code right there on your screen to vote. The question is, what are your thoughts on the Biden administration's decision about the border wall today? Do you strongly support, somewhat support, neutral, somewhat oppose, or strongly oppose? The answer with the highest support looks like it's strongly support, standing at 85%. Thank you for voting. We're going to have an update later on 25 News Now at 10. And as for the buoys, do they make it harder for migrants to cross the Rio Grande? Well, that was the question before a federal appeals court today. It's unclear when it will issue a final ruling on the case after oral arguments, but for now, it's allowing the state of Texas to keep the buoys there with an injunction.
Governor Greg Abbott Thursday released his agenda for the third legislative special session of the year. The Texas Tribune reports Governor Abbott asking lawmakers to further crack down on illegal immigration. His agenda includes increasing human smuggling penalties. The agenda also includes school choice legislation that would allow parents to use taxpayer funds to take their children out of public schools and put them in private or charter schools. The special session starts Monday afternoon. Houston ISD now having to respond after an inappropriate lesson plan featuring sex and passion was passed to 8th grade students as a reading assignment.
Yeah, Corina Cortez with the Houston Federation of Teachers blames errors on Houston ISD Superintendent Mike Miles and his decision to make cuts in the curriculum department.
Highlighted in orange by a concerned teacher, these are just some of the phrases picked out as inappropriate. The passage depicts a woman deciding if she wants to be intimate with a man and mentions drinking whiskey and passion. The rest we had to blur out.
So how do you justify that to a parent?
Corina Ortiz is with the Houston Federation of Teachers. She says while this is an egregious example of errors making their way into the classroom, there have been countless factual and content errors being caught by teachers.
We have teachers that have called and said, okay, the curriculum that they sent me for this week, it's wrong. I have to go back and make adjustments and make it correct, so that way when I put it on my board, it's going to come out looking like, okay, it's professional and it's correct.
Ortiz says teachers are now having to spend precious time reviewing, correcting, and rewriting material so students get accurate and appropriate resources.
It goes into night. It's not a day anymore. It goes into night.
Ortiz blames errors like this on HISD Superintendent Mike Miles' decision to make cuts in the curriculum department and says the Federation has offered their help in this area.
We have offered to bring in specialists to come in and help and assist with curriculum, assist with anything that we can, and the answer was a matter of fact, no.
We did reach out to HISD about this text. In a statement, they said in part, while this issue was identified and corrected before it impacted students or instruction, this does not meet the standards I set for the HISD team and does not meet the commitment we made to our educators and students. The statement goes on to say HISD is strengthening their curriculum development and review process by paying a team of HISD teacher experts from each grade level and content area to review curriculum half-time.
Back in Victoria, the city continues to work with the Salvation Army on its newest add-on. The Salvation Army's Life Enrichment Center continues with construction at 1302 North Lewis Street. With a new ceiling, walls, and air conditioners, the commanding officer, Captain Kenny Jones, says the facility should be finished by November 1st. Jones says the center will take an interesting route in helping the community.
We're handling not just the homeless population, but those that are less fortunate and those that may be a lower income. We're going to be offering programs that are not necessarily commonality throughout this.
The center will act as more than a shelter. People in need will gain access to showers, a mail center, laundry services, and job training services as well. The main focus for the facility is to get those in need back into the workforce and create income.
You might be surprised to learn the latest hot spot for retirement It's a little over 2 hours from here. Austin, to be exact. According to a new report by Moody's Analytics, a growing number of retirees choosing to spend their golden years in the state capital city. Between 2010 and 2020, the population of adults over 64 years old doubled. Other U.S. cities gaining popularity among older adults include Houston, Atlanta, Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina, and Boise, Idaho. They like the potatoes. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell so you can see Crossroads Today on YouTube. And stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 6, two powerful lawmakers publicly announced their bid to leave the Republican House after Kevin McCarthy's outing.
Also ahead, Donald Trump files a motion to dismiss the indictment in the election interference case. Attorneys for Donald Trump moved to dismiss the indictment in his 2020 election interference case. Trump's attorneys claim the case should be dismissed based on presidential immunity, as they say his alleged actions fell within the scope of his responsibilities as president.
John Laurel and Todd Blanche noted in the motion that, quote, the prosecution does not and cannot argue that President Trump's efforts to ensure election integrity and to advocate for the same were outside the scope of his duties, unquote.
Now let's turn to the ongoing crisis on Capitol Hill. The country is just weeks away from another potential government shutdown, and House Republicans are in recess until next week.
At the moment, two Republican lawmakers are emerging as the front runners.
A Capitol in crisis following the historic ouster of Kevin McCarthy as House Speaker. With no Speaker to lead the chamber, the House remains paralyzed, unable to take up legislation or perform its most basic functions, like funding the government. Internal fighting among Republicans put Congress in this position, and it comes at a crucial time. Lawmakers only have until November 17th before the government runs out of money. President Biden responding to the chaos, saying there is a lot of work to get done and the clock is ticking.
We cannot and should not again be faced with an 11th hour decision of brinksmanship that threatens to shut down the government.
Today, GOP lawmakers responding. 20 Senate Republicans sending a letter to Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, a Democrat, telling him funding bills should be the only focus and that they'll actively block the Senate from considering anything else until House Republicans pick a new speaker.
Well, I think the obvious answer is we need to get a speaker, and hopefully we'll get one by next week.
Right now, Representative Jim Jordan of Ohio and House Majority Leader Steve Scalise of Louisiana have both announced their candidacy for Speaker and are actively seeking support from other members. Jordan's a close ally of former President Donald Trump and is mentioned more than a dozen times in the House Select Committee's final January 6th report. Scalise once spoke before a group of white supremacists in 2002 before he was in Congress. He later apologized. Both men voted to overturn Joe Biden's 2020 Electoral College wins in Pennsylvania and Arizona. Republicans in the Senate have urged their colleagues in the House to pick a new speaker quickly, but to also get rid of the rule that allows just one member to start the process to remove a speaker. Ika Jachi, ABC News, Washington.
Back in the Crossroads, viewers will be able to see the Ring of Fire in Victoria. Read more about the solar eclipse next Saturday on our website, crossroadstoday.com.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. You can see the cloud deck out there. They're thinning out. And as a matter of fact, a few breaks in the cloud deck not too far away. So yeah, we've got improving conditions. We had a beautiful rain. What about the weekend? We'll have all that coming up in a moment. Welcome back, everybody. 74 degrees. How about that? Nice, cool temperatures at this hour of the day. Haven't seen that since last winter, you know, as a matter of fact. Winds are very calm right now because the north wind hasn't kicked in, but most of the heavy rain is pretty much out of the picture. We managed to get up into the 80s this afternoon right about lunchtime, right after all the big stormy weather came through. The front came through about 8 o'clock this morning, really was barreling through the area. We officially got 1.35 out at the airport. We got 1.6 out at Riverside Park, and some folks called me from Cimarron, told me they were up at 2 inches. The month is now 2.03, and I haven't talked about this in a while. 2761 is the rain we've gotten for all this year. We're still about 4.5 below what we expect to get this time of year. Well, there's Victoria under all the cloudy weather and the stormy weather, but it's beginning to clear up. You can see right about there, all the rain is pretty much pulled out of the area. We may have additional sprinkles and maybe showers, light showers, overnight and into tomorrow morning. But then it all goes away as we start clearing up very nicely for the weekend. We are looking at stormy weather down south. Of course, you know, the rain that causes the problems. Yes, we get some flooding, we got some trees that were knocked down, some folks lost power, but the heaviest stormy weather is now down in deep South Texas. This map will show you the accumulated rainfalls. Basically, in the green is up to 1 inch, in the blue is up to 2 inches, and in the light blue up to 3 inches. So that was a good widespread rainfall. I mean, it's great when everybody gets something as opposed to, you know, Edna. Edna usually gets all the heavy rain, or so it seems for the past few weeks. There's the 3-inch mark throughout northern areas up toward Wharton, and even north of Hallettsville, they got about 3 inches of rain. So we needed it. It was good. It is now pretty much over with. Now the question is, Where is the dry weather? Well, it's up here. There's a secondary front coming through. You're going to see the cloud deck sort of thin out overnight. Tomorrow will be partly cloudy and maybe a sprinkle or two, and that's about it. But the drier air is going to roll in on Saturday, and that's when you really feel the change in our weather pattern. We're going to be looking at some very nice weather. These are the observed highs today. We got up to 83 in the 80s out in far west Texas and 70s. And then tomorrow we're looking for about an 85. That's Friday. Saturday we're looking for a high of about 75, so that's going to be a whole lot nicer. So again, we got two fronts working. The first, the big one that came through the heavy stuff, then the second one that will bring us the dry air and the northerly winds. In fact, the northerly winds, which are very quiet right now, will be rather breezy tomorrow. Well, actually Saturday. That will definitely give us a cool down that we've been looking for quite some time. Then by the time we get to next week, we'll start getting back to a little cloud cover and back to the 80s. So tomorrow morning, 72 in Port Lavaca, getting up to only 86. And of course, there's that north wind beginning to cool us down and dry us up. And for those of you in Cuero, we still get down to 69, getting up to only 84 as a high temperature. And then we're looking for generally partly cloudy skies tomorrow. By the time we get to the weekend, we should clear up very nicely and get cooler, drier days. So 85 tomorrow, 77 Saturday and Sunday. Couldn't ask for nicer weather. And then as we get into the early part of next week, a little bit of cloud cover, getting back to the 80s. This is the Gulf air rolling back in with maybe a sprinkle or two, but nothing severe or significant expected early next week. So there it is, folks. Enjoy the evening and enjoy the weekend as well. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. We'd love for you to scan that. Put Crossroads Today on your phone, right, Karina?
That's right. Thank you, Mac. Let's go to Sports Director Gina Perez.
Thanks, Karina. The Ganado quarterback showed out last week, and a Texan magazine recognized him. That's coming up after the break. Patty Crossroads, it was announced less than an hour ago that Chicago Bears Hall of Fame linebacker Dick Butkus is dead. He was known for his on-field play as well as his acting career, color commentating, and even in commercials. The legend died at the age of 80. Well, back here in the Crossroads, the athlete of the week is soft-spoken off the field, but on the gridiron, he lets his play do the talking.
Third and goal from the 2.
Victoria West 2A player Kamari Montgomery entered the season with a couple of goals on his mind. To work hard, give it his all, and to have high intensity in every game.
I just try to lead my teammates, make them do good, play with integrity.
The senior went on to say he just wants to be the best he can be and to have no regrets. To prepare for games, he puts his music on shuffle and listens to whatever comes up, but his favorite is rap and R&B. His defensive coordinator, Coach Trey Allay, was named as the Week 6 Defensive Coordinator of the Week, but Coach Allay said it helps having a player like Montgomery on his side of the ball.
And it's really great having an athlete like that out on the field. He makes plays. He's a smart, savvy player. He's done it. He did it last year too, and he played as a sophomore on the defensive side of the football. So, there's not a lot of bouncing going on. He just does it.
Montgomery wears both the number 2 and 24 on the field. The running back has rushed for over 100 yards in the past 4 games. This season, he has 447 yards and 10 total touchdowns. He said he could not do it without his family.
It means a lot, just for them to watch me play. I want to show out for them.
But he is not just a rusher. In the 2nd district game of the season, Montgomery had a fumble recovery and 7 solo tackles. On the offensive side of the ball, he rushed for 107 yards with an average of 11.9 yards per carry. His longest rush was for 41 yards. 4 touchdowns, 107 yards rushing, and big plays on defense are the reasons why Victoria West running back Kamari Montgomery is your athlete of the week. And another contender for the potential athlete of the week was honored with another award by a Texan magazine. Bryce Ullman has been shredding opposing defenses through the air and on the ground and was named the Class 2A quarterback of the week for week 6. Last week, the play caller threw for 4 touchdowns, completing 10 of 11 passes for 253 yards and finished with a passer rating of 169.5. He also added 15 yards on the ground in the 48-16 win over Kennedy. Through the 6 games of the season, Ullman has passed for just over 1,000 yards and rushed for just over 300 yards. What's also impressive is that he has a 5.6 to 1 touchdown to interception ratio. The Indians are tied for the first in the district with the Refugio Bobcats, but will play the Bobcats of Bloomington after this week's bye week. And lastly, the Victoria East Titans are in Corpus Christi for its 3rd district game of the season. The East Titans are going to come off a loss from Corpus Christi Miller, where both teams scored a total of 108 points, and unfortunately East would not win that game. We will have highlights and scores tonight for that game. That's if weather is not an issue. Well, that's your sports. Don and Karina, back to you.
Thanks, Gina. We're going to be back in a moment. Now, this must have been a really good Halloween decoration because fire crews were called in thinking it was a fire. We have this story straight ahead. Well, that's really good.
Finally tonight, fire crews in Glens Falls, New York, sent to a house on fire and arrived to find this amazing Halloween display. The firefighters so impressed and likely relieved that they asked permission to take a video and share it on social media for everybody to enjoy. Talk about getting into the spooky season. That's well done. I'm just really glad that that was just a little bit of magic and not a real fire.
Yeah, that would have been tough.
That's a pretty good job.
That really is.
That would have fooled me, yeah.
I would have pulled a 911, hurry up.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of calls today about our weather.
Sure, yeah, we had, a couple of little branches down, some power outs, all that stuff, because we did have gusts to about 50, 60 miles an hour. But all that stuff's gone. We got great rain, and now we're looking for clearing skies tonight. Tomorrow we'll have a few clouds in the morning, but I do believe things are going to be looking really nice for Friday night in the football stands. And the weekend, well, you're going to go out and take a picture of it because you're going to enjoy that so much with temperatures in the mid-70s.
It'll feel like football weather.
Oh, absolutely. This is the time when you want to be in the stands.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, Mike, thank you, and thanks for joining us.
We hope to see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 10.